Ever feel like your brain didn't come with a user's manual? Like you're just winging it? Well, today we're going to fix that. We are diving deep into cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Think of it as a powerful framework for understanding and, changing the way you think, feel, and act. So let's dive in.
First up, let's talk about something I'm pretty sure we've all experienced, getting stuck in a negative thought loop. You know that feeling, right? That awful spiral where one bad thought just snowballs into another, and pretty soon you feel completely trapped. It's a surprisingly common human experience, and it's exactly the kind of thing CBT is designed to help us with.
So why does that even happen? Well, in CBT, they call it a vicious cycle. Think about it. A negative thought pops into your head, and that makes you feel bad. That bad feeling then pushes you to do something unhelpful. Maybe you avoid a social event or snap at someone, and that action, it just confirms that original negative thought was right all along. It's a super powerful loop, but, and this is the key, it's a loop you can absolutely learn to break.
And here's the really good news. You are not stuck with that. Those cycles, as powerful as they feel, can be broken. We can actually learn to rewire those connections in our brain, and that right there is what CBT is all about.
Okay, so what is CBT really? Think of it like this. It's a super practical, hands-on therapy that zooms right in on that powerful link between your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. The whole goal isn't just to sit and talk about your problems. It's to give you the actual tools to change those faulty perceptions that are causing all the trouble in the first place. And this slide, this is the core idea from the psychiatrist Beck. He's the one who really saw how our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are all locked in this constant feedback loop. But here's the absolute game changer. If you can manage to change just one of those things, just one, you can start to change the whole system. Now, this powerful idea didn't just appear out of thin air. It has a really rich history, and it's built on some of the biggest psychological breakthroughs of the last century. So the story really starts way back with Pavlov and his famous dogs, which proved that, hey, behaviors can be learned, right? Then you fast forward to the 50s, and this guy Albert Ellis takes a huge leap forward with something called REBT. That's really the first major cognitive therapy. And then just a decade later, another pioneer, Beck, comes along and refines those ideas, creating the CBT that we know and use today.
And what's so fascinating is how different their styles were. You had Ellis, who was very direct, very confrontational. He would forcefully challenge a client's irrational beliefs. But then you have Beck, who took a totally different route. He was all about collaboration. His whole approach was to gently guide clients so they could discover their own flawed thinking. And really, it's Beck's more empowering you-can-do-this approach that's become the heart of modern CBT.
All right, let's roll up our sleeves and get into the practical stuff. The tool that is at the very heart of CBT is something called the ABC model.
Okay, this right here is the foundational tool developed by Ellis, and it is incredibly powerful. It's so simple. A is the activating event. Basically, something happens. C is the consequence, how you feel or what you do because of it. But the real magic, the part that changes everything, is B, your belief about the event. See, what CBT shows us is that A doesn't directly cause C. It's your belief about A that causes C. And that, my friends, is a radical, life-changing shift in perspective.
And this is the absolute core insight of CBT. I mean, think about it. The exact same event can happen to two different people, and they can have completely different reactions. Why? It all comes down to B, their beliefs about what just happened. This is where your power to change your reality truly lies.
So, what do these unhelpful beliefs actually look like? Well, therapists call them cognitive distortions, which is just a fancy way of saying common thinking traps that we all fall into. For instance, magnification, that's just making a mountain out of a molehill. Overgeneralization, that's when you have one bad date and decide you're going to be alone forever. Personalization is when your boss is in a bad mood and you immediately think, oh no, it must be my fault. And selective abstraction, that's when you get tons of praise but you can only focus on that one tiny piece of criticism. You can totally see how these would just keep that vicious cycle spinning and spinning, right?
Okay, so we've covered the theory. Now let's talk about how CBT actually works out in the real world. I mean, look at this list. The applications for CBT are just vast. It's a proven, effective tool for everything from anxiety and depression to managing anger, stress, and even chronic pain. It's like a truly versatile Swiss Army knife for your mind.
And the techniques themselves are super hands-on. You're not just talking, you're doing.
You might use something called a thought record to literally catch and challenge those automatic negative thoughts. Or you might run behavioral experiments, which sounds scientific, but it's really just testing your fears to see if they're actually based in reality. These are skills, real, lifelong skills you can use to manage your own mind.
And what's so incredible about all this is that it isn't some brand new idea. Beck himself was inspired by this quote from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, written almost 2,000 years ago. It's a timeless truth. It's not what happens to us, but our view of what happens that truly shapes our reality.
So let's end with a powerful question, just for you. Think about something you're struggling with right now. Is the stress really coming from the situation itself, or is it coming from the story you're telling yourself about it? And if it's the story, what's one small way you could start to change that story today?